Members of the Board of Governors, President Whitaker, Platform Party, graduates, and honored guests, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce Craig Alexander, our honorary degree recipient, this morning. Craig Alexander embodies the passion and excellence of the civic-minded professionals that we graduate each year from Humber College. He has spent the last 18 years in the private sector working as an economic and financial forecaster whose opinion is sought on matters of public policy, economic development, and prosperity. He currently holds the title of Senior Vice President and Chief Economist for TD Bank Group, where he leads a team of economists that support all of the divisions and clients of TD Bank Group. Having also spent several years with Statistics Canada, Craig's economic and financial forecasts are grounded in research that he not only leads through his team, but also engages in on a personal level. His expertise in the areas of economic and financial development have earned him the respect of colleagues on an international scale, and he spends a significant amount of time each year traveling across Canada and the United States, speaking at more than 100 events on a wide array of subjects and pressing issues that touch us all. One of those issues is the civic and financial imperatives that we face as a nation, where literacy and numeracy skills are on a decline, a cause for which he was recently awarded the Queen's Diamond Jubilee Medal. Serving on the board of directors for several nonprofit groups, he is a champion for the charitable sector. On a day like today, when we come together to recognize and celebrate the academic achievements of our most recent graduates, it is only fitting that we also recognize Craig Alexander for his professional and personal commitment to economic development, prosperity, literacy, and numeracy. President Whitaker, Ms. McKinney, it is with great honor and pleasure that we ask you to confer upon Mr. Craig Alexander this Bachelor of Applied Studies. Ladies and gentlemen, I now invite Mr. Craig Alexander to address the class of 2014.
Good morning. Let me begin by saying what a privilege it is to be part of today's convocation ceremony and have the opportunity to say a few remarks. I have to be honest, after hearing President Whitaker's comments, I could have made this speech incredibly short because I could just stand up and say, ditto. When I was crafting my comments for today, my wife saw me struggling and she said, don't be funny, don't be clever, don't be witty, just be yourself. I wasn't quite sure how to take that remark. But I will be myself, but more importantly from where you're sitting, I'm also going to be quite brief. I want to thank Humber College for awarding me an honorary degree. When the school first contacted me and told me I was being considered for this recognition, they told me it was because of the work I've done in terms of trying to promote literacy and numeracy and essential skills. But I have to be honest, I felt a bit unworthy because in my mind, the people that really are the heroes and the champions of literacy are the teachers that are making an impact every day. The early childhood educators, the primary school and high school teachers, the college and university professors, and all the people that teach continuing learning or English as a second language courses throughout our country. These people are actually making a difference, improving the fortunes of their students every single day. I'm just an economist. I just write research and I do presentations. But I have come to a point where I actually do strongly believe that we need to do better on literacy and essential skills. So this has become very important to me. You might think it's very odd. Why would a chief economist from a bank be talking about a subject like this? But this actually has a huge impact on the performance of our economy and the standard of living in Canada. About 6 years ago, TD Bank, my employer, approached me and said, could I do a study on the state of literacy and numeracy? And I have to be honest, I couldn't imagine that we would have a problem in this area. I mean, after all, we're a modern, advanced economy. We have a well-developed education system. So how could we possibly be having a problem with something so basic as literacy and numeracy? But when I got looked at the international benchmark data, I was shocked because what I found is 5 in 10 Canadian adults don't have the desired level of literacy to fully succeed in a knowledge-based economy. 6 in 10 don't have the desired level of numeracy. And so if such a proportion of Canadians lack basic skills, I wondered why there wasn't more attention to this issue. Now, like you, when I'm on weekends visiting with my friends, you talk about what you're working on, and I'm used to actually starting to talk about what I'm doing and watch their eyes glaze over, as I start to talk about economics, right? But this time, when I talked about the state of literacy, they became very engaged because they couldn't believe that we had a situation like this. They challenged me. And what I learned was a couple of things. The first one is that people think literacy is a binary outcome. They think you're either literate or you're not. And this is deeply incorrect. Literacy is actually a spectrum of proficiency, ranging from negligible to proficient to mastery. It isn't just one or the other. The other thing I realized was that a lot of people take people with strong literacy skills take them for granted. They can't imagine a world without them, so they have trouble identifying with the challenges some people are having. And at the same time, some people that have below desired literacy have a real problem because they can't recognize the lost opportunities they're having from not investing in skills. I also came to the realization this was costing our economy tens of billions of dollars because individuals were not unlocking their full potential. And that brings me to the core messages for today's graduates. First, I want to congratulate you on completing the requirements of a degree or diploma from Humber College, a venerable and highly respected post-secondary education institution. But I also want to commend you for making the decision to invest in yourself. At some point in the past, you made a decision to continue your education and to come to Humber. You may have chosen your program because you have a passion for the topic and an idea where you want to go in your life. Or you may have been like me in university, having chosen a program without knowing exactly what I planned to do with it. But regardless of the motivation, all of you decided to invest in a post-secondary education because you believed it would open the door to better possibilities. And I'm here to tell you that you made a sound investment. Increasing your education and skills is foundational. People with stronger skills are more likely to be employed. They're less likely to be unemployed. If they experience unemployment, the duration of the unemployment is lower the stronger your skills. Stronger skills open the door to more careers and more job opportunities, and it leads to higher income and better paying jobs. Ultimately, skills development leads to a better quality of life and better life decisions. Accordingly, I get really frustrated when I hear people suggest that due to the rising cost of education and due to the current weak state of the labor market, graduates are not getting a good return on investment. This is manifestly and demonstrably untrue. The reality is that investing in education is the single best investment you can make in your life. It's far better than any investment you're going to make in stocks, bonds, or real estate. It's true that today's graduates are having a tougher time than in the past, but your education doesn't pay off in just the immediate term. It provides a payoff over your entire lifetime. In fact, it can create generational effects, making your children more likely to succeed. So even if it's difficult to land that first job, even if that first job isn't the ideal job that you were looking for, your education will have helped you achieve better outcomes. I also want to stress the labor market is not as bad as many people make out. The national unemployment rate has been falling, and it's now well down below 7%. It's still higher than it was before the recession, but that was a time when unemployment was at a 30-year low. Today, the unemployment rate is modestly below its long-term average. It's not the best of times, but make no mistake, it's far from being the worst of times. Now, youth are having particular difficulty in the labor market. You hear about this an awful lot. The youth unemployment rate is close to double the national average. But I would caution that that is almost always the case. Before the recession, the unemployment rate for youth was 11.5%, twice the national average at a time when jobs were plentiful. Youth unemployment has now fallen, as the president said, to 12.6%. Now, this might understate how tough things are actually for young people. The decline in the unemployment rate doesn't tell you the whole story. Because in order to count as unemployed, you not only have to not have a job, but you have to be looking for work. If you actually don't look for work, you don't actually count as unemployed. Now, yeah, some people think that's means we don't measure unemployment correctly. But if you made a decision during your education to basically focus on your studies and you're not looking for part-time work to also boost your income, we don't count you as unemployed. But what we do worry about are people who have entered the labor market, looked for a job, found they couldn't find one, and become discouraged and leave. And so we worry about discouraged workers, and it is true that the labor participation of youths has actually fallen. So it is tough out there. But the drop in the unemployment rate still tells you something. For the individuals that are looking for work, there are jobs. It just means you have to look hard. I graduated with my BA in 1991 when youth employment was dramatically higher than today. The 1991 recession was far worse than the 2008-2009, and Canada had a jobless recovery. It took 9 years for the youth unemployment rate to come back to the level it has today in the wake of the 90 recession. But my graduating class still succeeded, although my mother, who is here today, will tell you just how hard things were when I started out. So have no illusions. It's not easy out there, but do not be discouraged or lose heart. I hate about it when people talk about youths of today facing a lost generation. It might be true in Europe. You could make the case in the United States, but it's certainly not true in Canada. Through hard work and perseverance, you can succeed. I often also hear a problem that the education system's not producing the graduates with the skills employers need. Well, I've looked into this issue, and the data don't support the view we have a broad-based skills shortage. It's in certain occupations and certain locations. To some extent, I think employers are trying to unload the cost of training onto the education system. And I think businesses need to learn to upskill their staff in order to be more productive and to compete. But I also think it's critical for workers to strive and improve their skills. And I want to stress to you today that all skills are valuable. Employers tend to put a premium on technical skills, and so graduates from programs that are more applied in nature tend to have a better initial labor market experience. But soft skills are terribly important. Many of the creative jobs in our economy, in our knowledge-based economy, need such skills. And for the technically minded, the thing I'd stress to you today is I would highlight that no matter how bright you are, if you cannot communicate your ideas, it's not useful. When I started my career as an economist, it was my analytical capabilities that got me hired. But I soon discovered that my writing and speaking skills were critical to reaching higher positions. It turned out that my love of literature and drama has been just as important as my technical skills over my career. In conclusion, I do sincerely congratulate you on obtaining your degree or diploma. You should be proud. It's a real accomplishment. But I do have to caution you that your education is far from complete. Over your lifetime, you will probably work for 3 to 5 employers. You are likely to have 2 or more careers. And that means you're going to have to continue to build your skills in order to seize opportunities and in order to keep pace with changing times. Humber College has given you a strong foundation and starting point, but learning today is not a stage in life. It's a continuous path over an entire lifetime. Thank you.